Hello, hello. This is I guess, part two of the first mobile project that we'll be making on this channel. I made some temporary assets that I'll be putting in the sprites folder, and we'll be just setting this as default. And what we kind of want to do is set up some scenes today, work on the player movement, etc. Sorry for this, I had a slight issue, so I had to quickly pause the scene. Anyways, um, yeah, so those will be our characters, etc. that we'll use. So first I'll create two new scenes. Let's call this the game scene. And let's just load it. Let's remove the sample scene and let's create a new one called the menu scene. Now, anyway, let's go back to the game scene and let's make sure we use the aspect that we've set up. So we'll be triggering between this as well as the free aspect from time to time just to see how the game is operating. And let's start off by creating a 2D sprite, empty one, and let's call this the player character. Now for this we want to drag in our player, and now that we have it we can see our player on the screen. We want to add a box collision. Well, actually, yeah, let's use box collision for now. Maybe we'll change it to something else later. I think this should be good enough for now. I'm only going to slightly adjust the collider for now, but that's good enough. And now let's go into scripts. So our character will have two main scripts. First will be the player movement, and then we'll have later on player shooting. Now, of course, since this is going to be a mobile game, now first we will start with building on PC. That's because it's going to be easier to test for the sake of this project. But later on, once we finish with the PC build, we'll be porting it to mobile instead of building it for mobile first. This will be easier to manage. So let's start off by open up the scripts and just writing some code. So for player movement, we will use lerping. So if we think of our arena, we'll have a start position and end position, which is basically where our screen is. Let's actually reset the position. So if we look at the camera and the character, we need to see that there are some changes that we have to make to the camera. So first, we are going to change from the perspective to orthographic. And then I believe we need to, there we go, change the size to maybe 2. And this is what it would look like in our, I guess, no, this will have to, 1. So this will need some work, definitely. And later on, I guess we will have to do something with the camera so it works well against any type of screen. But yeah, let's just do with what we have for now. So this is our character. And the character will always have to move between both edges of the screen. So what we wanted to add is 2 points for the character to move from one edge to another. So we'll create 2 empty game objects. So let's call this the left point, and then change the color, and then of course the name didn't change. And then let's duplicate this and call the other one right movement point, like so. We're going to just move them lower to where the player is, and for now we just move one to here and the other one to here, like so. Now that we have this, let's keep working on the code. So let's get rid of the default sections of the code And let's start by getting reference to these transforms that we just created. So let's create private transform, and the first one we'll call it the left point, and the second one is going to be the private transform right point, like so. Going to type no at the end so it doesn't display any errors for us, like this. Now another value that we will need is the position of our character as well as speed at which we can move. The speed is something we'll modify over time. So let's start with creating a float called current position, and we can even set this up to something like 0.5, which will be the middle point. So what we will essentially do is we will be lerping between 0 and 1, with 0 being the left point and 1 being the right point. And we will do this over a float of type speed, which we can set to something like 1 for now and then see how it works. So let's just add a little bit of commenting. So this is the furthest left the player can move, and this is going to be the furthest right the player can move. Player's current position between values 0 to 1, and how fast the player moves between his position, like so. Now let's type in start. So actually we don't need start for now. We can just make update straight away and do our movement logic. So for this, we'll have actually let's create a new float, and let's call this our vertical input. This is going to be, this will read the input of player's movement. Actually, since the it's not vertical, it's horizontal because it's left and right. So let's call it horizontal input instead, and we'll just do horizontal input is equal to input.getAxis, and we will take horizontal input like this. And now that we have this, we'll use fixed update to do our lerping, or the movement of the player. So let's just make some space here, and for this we'll create a new function called private void move player. Moves player based on input provided, and we will just run move player in our fixed update because this is where the logic, the physics will happen. And what we'll do is simply do current position is let's just do plus equals, so input value, which is our horizontal input, and we'll then times it by the speed, and then times dot time dot delta time, like so. Then we need to make sure that our current position never exceeds specific values, and that's going to be done by using math f.clamp 01, because we want only to be able to move between our 0 and 1 of our lerp. And now that we've clamped the position, we can just do transform.position and then equal to vector3.lerp, and we'll just do so we'll be lerping between our left dot position and then right dot position, and then over our current position float. And with this, I believe we should be able to move efficiently with our player. Where are we? Player movement. Now let's assign both of our points. 1 to like this. And well, great, the camera isn't actually seeing the character. Wait, what happens to the character when we press play? Let's have a look at you. Okay, I'm just going to drag this to the other side because I want to see where the camera has moved. Oh, okay. So one problem right now is that our points are, well, they should really be on a, there you go. They should be at a 0 on a Z alongside our player, but that was not the case when we first created them. So the player disappeared. But now we can move left and right according to our points, how we want it. And now if we were to change the speed, so let's just unpause it and change this to like a frame and press play again. We'll notice that this happens way quicker. So this is something that we all allow in the player upgrade system, which is something that this project will heavily rely on. So while we're at it, let's make a little bit more code because we still have loads of time. So since it's going to be a mobile game, we want to have some kind of UI that we can set up. So we'll go pretty simple, as I haven't decided on what we are actually intending to do for now. But it's never a bad idea to set everything up as quickly as possible. So let's just create for now a simple some buttons that we all have for this project. And we are going to be using Text Mesh Pro for everything that we do, simply because it's way better. So for this, we are going to be importing it. And while that happens, I'll check my phone. Don't really want the extras. Okay, let's give this a try one more time. So let's see if it works. Yeah, it does. Okay, so now we have Text Mesh Pro. So now that we have this, so this is going to be our canvas main menu. And our button will be called start, and then we will have another. So I believe we will have maybe button for upgrades that we can upgrade to our ship, and then we'll have some kind of a button or an icon for options. And then lastly, for just the PC build, we will have exit PC build only, like so. Now let's create a panel for now, and we'll just center everything just for the duration. This will be all temporary just to get the project started. There we go, like this. And then it's going to be panel buttons holder. Now let's drag all of these guys in here and add a vertical layout group and just center it for now. Start. I really like naming everything because then it is just easier to know what is what. Upgrades, options, and what's this? Exit. Now let's add text to each of these. We're not going to bother playing around with the text options for now, because right now we just want to get to the prototype elements as quickly as possible so we can have something that works, is playable, etc. Okay, so with this done, let's make a new script for the main menu. So let's create main menu script. Let's open it up. And let's remove all of these guys. And let's just create the buttons. So public void on start selected. So this is going to be handles interactions, handles user input when start button is selected. So I'm going to copy this like this, and we'll change this on from on start to on upgrades. Next, we will have on options, and finally we'll have on exit. Now, since this is going to be mainly a mobile game, there is no need for an input which asks the user if they want to exit the app or not. On a mobile, you just quit the game by swiping with your phone. So we're just going to do this without any prompts. Now let's using Unity engine dot scene management, and here we will just switch to the next scene. So we'll do scene manager dot load scene, and that's going to be scene number 1, as main menu is going to be scene number 0. We're only going to have 2 scenes because it's a mobile game. There's no need to overcomplicate it. And then for the options and upgrades, we are going to leave it blank till it's time to handle them. But we can already attach all of the functionalities ahead of time. So let's add our main menu here into the canvas and drag all of these guys, drag in the canvas. Let's do main menu on start selected, main menu on upgrades, on options, and finally exit. There we go. Now, this is basically enough for today's series. We are going to do way more tomorrow, but I'm happy with the movement. Tomorrow we'll be shooting and attacking the characters, so there's going to be a longer stream for sure. But I believe we have enough for this one right now. So with that being said, all we have to do now is upload this to our GitHub. So basically every time we'll be done with the stream, we'll just close the entire project and we will open the GitHub. This is something I want to show. Actually, now I can get rid of these temporary icons here. And we see here that we have a update. So let's put the summary, which is the stream number 2, and we're going to be doing play, and that was player movement plus main menu. And for description, I'll just do added new script that handles player movement left and right. And that script was called player movement. Added scenes, main menu and game scene. Added script main menu, which handles all the main menu button interactions. And I believe that's good enough for today. So now I'll press commit, and we're committing it to develop. One thing that we'll do is we'll put every single version on a separate branch. And this is something right now that will happen that is different from the very first part when we set up the project. So now we get this create a pull request, which is something that didn't exist before. So this is where I select it and I drag over the screen here. So what this does is it allows us to simply merge into the branch. So there's nothing if we want to merge it into the develop, but if we want to merge it into the main version, it will allow us to do that. So for this very version, we will do this, but there are some changes that we will do. So rather than pushing everything into develop, we'll be working on a specific version and then pushing it to develop. Uh, Actually, we will work on our develop and then push it to a version. So let's create merge. And I'm trying to think how to do it the most efficiently without having too many branches. So let's make a weekly branch. So let's create a new branch and let's copy it from the current branch, which is the develop, and let's just call it week 01. So this is our first week of development, and we will be resetting them every Sunday to a new one. So today is Wednesday. That means we still have a few days that we'll be uploading to this branch at the end of each day. So let's publish this branch, and that's it. Now, if there was a team, you would have people check your comment, and you could assign people here. So you would have reviewers, assignees, but of course there's no one on this project besides us, so there is nothing that's going to happen. And alternatively, we will also add a itch.io page where we will be streaming, where we'll be talking about every single um, stream in a devlog type of format to go with the entire full process for anyone that wishes to follow. But this is it for today. Tomorrow there's going to be a longer stream than today, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for the